So, welcome everyone. My name is Christy Johnson. I'm an internal marketing consultant, and I'm joined with Darren Hartman.
I'm also an internal marketing consultant. We've been with the company. Mine's 8 years. What are you, Christy?
I'm in my fifth year.
Fifth year. So a lot of experience in the room.
So, we are going to be talking about cross selling and how it helps and what's going on in the industry and all. And with that, I came across this fact a couple weeks ago going through some emails and all, and I thought it was very interesting that according to the Federal Reserve, in the third quarter of 2024, seniors 70 and up controlled 50 trillion in financial assets, and that equates to 31% of the total wealth of America. In my opinion, as agents, it's our job to protect as those assets for our clients. Don't you agree?
Almost definitely. Yeah. We don't want to make anybody insurance poor or claims poor. So, yeah, that's basically our jobs.
So the sky's falling. We got PDP commissions, HRAs, MedSup increases, non-commissional MAPD, CMS, MedSup's leaving the market. We've all been hit with this. So how is this affecting you?
Yep. How are you going to replace that income and help your clients at the same time? Cross sell. So, to increase revenue, there's really two ways. You can either increase your client count or you can sell more policies per client. And Christy, we both know the answer to this. What's the easy answer?
More clients?
More policies, right? So we all want more clients, but more policies is the easiest. So today we're going to talk about some cross-selling essential ways. Bridges the gap, creates a door opener, door closer, increases your persistency, which is good, and client satisfaction increases as well. So today we're going to talk about the products. I'm going to cover dental and hospital indemnity with Christy's help, and then Christy's going to cover short-term care and cancer and CHAZ. So CHAZ is cancer, heart attack, and stroke policies. So these are the missed opportunities that we're seeing in the market. At least this is what you're missing out on first year commissions. So you can see dental, decent amount, hospital indemnity, a little bit better. Then look at those last two. So recovery care, $1,500 and $725 for CHAZ. That's a good chunk of change, Christy.
It is, and you're helping your clients all at the same time.
So with dental, great door opener. A lot of people are not selling dental like they probably should be. That's the number one requested product that we hear about from the field. So if your competition isn't selling it, you should be. It's a great door opener. Get in the door. Say, when's the last time you had your Medicare portfolio analysis done? And then go from there. Great opportunity with Medicare supplement or even under performing Medicare advantages. Easy to write. Most of the carriers have a personal URL where you can send to the client and they can enroll, or you can do it for them. And dental may qualify for Medicaid spend down in your state. So if someone's not quite eligible for Medicaid, you can use a dental policy to lower their tax liability and get their spend down met. So we have a proprietary tool here at SMS. It's called quotedental.com. It's pretty easy to get, so you can go ahead and register from that account. You can talk to your favorite marketer at SMS. If it's Christy or I or any of the other 30 of us there are, please feel free to reach out. We can do a demo. We can show you what it looks like, but we're going to cover a couple big features of Quote Dental right now. So what we like about this platform is that it lets us quote all the carriers at once and the different criteria. So you can quote by teeth health, their dental health. If it's poor, if it's moderate, or if it's good, that's going to change which plan you need. More coverage, more dollars, you can figure that out. So you can also sort by what day of coverage you're in. So the arrow on this screen shows a day one coverage, which one is the most competitive. So you can see some of our proprietary plans there. It gives you the out of pocket, the premium, and you can even put your personal URL to the far right. So you can go directly into the e-app. In this case, we're looking at 24 months, and now we're seeing what the benefits look like after 2 years. Or in some cases, if they have a credit for prior coverage rider, this is where we would end up. So you can see here that there's different carriers. And we can see, what the expected cost would be over this period of time. And with this program, it also gives you a chart in real time to see what it looks like. So the red dotted line at the very top, that is the cash price. So if you didn't have insurance, you were just going to pay cash out of your pocket, that's what you would pay. Quite a bit higher than the other plans. So a lot of people think that $1 of coverage is $1 of premium. Not necessarily anymore. You can see here that there's 4 better options than paying cash. So what do you think of this chart, Christy? Are you a big fan?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a great graphic to show your clients, being, uninsured versus just having, a nice little plan that with an in-network carrier helps you a lot.
Yeah, and seniors are very visual people, so this can really make a difference in their understanding of the plan, of what it would cost them, and then what the price with insurance would be. Next, we're going to talk about hospital indemnity. This is one of my favorite policies at SMS. It's underutilized, I think. What do you think, Christy? How per 100? How many think hospital indemnity plans get paired with?
Ask that one more time.
With our MA plans that we have, how many do you think are being sold?
Oh, not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way underutilized because it really does address that, that max out of pocket. So I'm hoping that we can show you how that works as we go through this.
So Christy put this piece of advertising together. It's available on our brand folder, or
it's in our client stream. It's our client stream marketing library. You can go in there and you can update it with you can personalize it with your name, phone number, and email. And it's just a nice graphic to show what one day in the hospital will cost versus an annual premium of a policy. And it's based on, of course, it's based on Omaha, Nebraska, and numbers. So it'll vary from state to state.
So you can see there that the policy pays for itself in a very short amount of time. One hospital ride and you're almost paid for. So that's a huge opportunity there. So here we're looking at how many dollars in commissions are being earned from the HI policies. So $172 million in premium was earned. That's pretty remarkable.
Right, it increases 5% every year since 2019. And they're seeing overall with ancillary products, it's increased 15%. This is just the hospital indemnity we're talking about right here.
Yeah, and that makes sense. As we see more and more Medicare Advantage plans have less ancillary benefits, maybe less dental, less power, reimbursed for bills, those type of things. I think it's going to be more and more important to put hospital indemnity with that Medicare Advantage or with that high deductible G, which we'll talk about here in a minute. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. So what is hospital indemnity? Hospital indemnity fills in the gaps of any insurance or no insurance at all. So if you think about ACA plans, a high deductible plan, Medicare Advantage, obviously, a high deductible plan, they all fill in the gaps of that. And because it's an indemnity plan, it pays regardless of other coverage. So you could technically double dip, especially when you get into the hospitalization or maybe the skilled nursing. So fills in the gaps great, and it's not coordinated of benefits. So you get paid regardless of what the other insurance does. It's very, very, very customizable. So you can adjust the dollar per days, the amount of time, which riders you want, if you want to add cancer or not. It's a great plan for all of those. Um, very, very competitive pricing and favorable underwriting. So with some carriers, the underwriting it's good is guaranteed issue ages 60 to age 79. So that's pretty huge.
And also, the policies start, a lot of policies start at 18, so you can hit that ACA market as well. And there's a couple carriers out there that they do family policies, and they do, single parent with children. So there's different options out there as well. So it works very well on both sides of the market.
Very well said. Yeah, I agree. So here we're looking at potential payout value. So for every item that you have, let's say in the hospital, outpatient surgery, there's the cost per the rider, and then, what the potential payout is. So it doesn't take long for the bills to ride up, and you can see how each of them pays out after that. Very, very nice in the way it's laid out.
I mean, if you look at it, $60 a month for, potentially a $14,000 payout. I mean, so the savings is incredible. I mean, think of that coming out of your pocket. Think of you're in crisis mode and you're trying to gather that money to pay the bill. We don't want to see anybody in that position.
Yeah, exactly. And it's easy to bring up. If you're talking to a Medicare Advantage client, they see that max out of pocket at $7,800. You can easily say, you see that $7,800 that may concern you. If we can make that essentially go away for around $60 a month. So, would that be interesting to you? And most people are going to say yes. So here's a claim example that we're looking at. What you would pay on your own and what you would pay with the hospital indemnity pairing up. And you save $441.
And this is for a healthy individual.
Healthy individual, yeah.
Yep. It's for a healthy individual. You're taking that high deductible, you take that MedSup high deductible G with the HI versus your MedSup, and you're going to come out further ahead.
Yep. Here we're looking at a new concept that SMS has kind of been spearheading with the rise in Plan G rates and plans leaving the market, birthday rule, stuff. The premiums are really going sky high. So here you can see what you would possibly pay for a Plan G and what you would pay with a Plan G plus an HI. So anything that you would incur before that 2,870, you would claim on your HI product to get you to your max out of pocket.
Right. And this one's actually also talking about someone who's gone to the doctor a few times more versus our healthy individual. And they're still coming out ahead with having a high deductible G paired with an HI. If my math is right, it's probably about $400 difference between just having the MedSup, the regular G.
Yeah. And you're going to be in a healthier block of business too. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see the drastic rate increases, as you have more cost sharing and Medicare supplement plans, the rate history is more stable, which we've seen, throughout when it's been introduced. So great plan for that.
And this one's going on with, here's a good example. If you got a 3-day stay in a hospital after an ER visit and again, we're taking the MedSup, the Plan G against the high deductible G and HI. And as you can see, the total cost to the patient in the end is actually far less with the high deductible G and the HI.
Yeah, amazing when you see it in black and white like that. Pretty amazing, the cost savings. So if one of the best ways that you can quote a HI plan is through CSG. If you don't have a CSG account for free through SMS, reach out to your favorite marketer. If you don't know who that is, reach out to Christy or I. We can get you set up with that. But it makes it possible for you to pick the Medicare Advantage plan and then pick 4 plans to wrap around it. So it'll have the liabilities on the left side of the equation and the riders and the coverages on the right to fill in that need.
And it also shows you what, not just what we have, but what's out there in the marketplace. And that's what I like about the tool, is that you can see, different carriers who your competition is.
Yeah, and that's good for Medicare Supplement and Medicare Advantage. You'll be able to see all the carriers in a zip code, not just the ones that that SMS has. So a great opportunity to see that. So if you don't have this tool, let us know. Reach out to us or your marketer, and we'll get you set up.
So short-term care. This is probably near and dear to my heart. I know that's probably a silly thing to say, but it is. I feel this is something that we need to be discussing with all of our clients. Probably, I would say, not just short-term care, but extended care needs is probably the better term. So why do you want to offer short-term care? Approximately 70% of individuals turning 65 will require some form of extended care. Some may not qualify for traditional long-term care. And when I say traditional, I'm saying the ones where you use it or lose it, or even just the hybrids, because some of those you have to have pretty hefty sums to put down. So it's simply not affordable. Medicare only covers skilled nursing care, not custodial care. And when I say custodial care, that's your ADLs, your
activities of daily living.
Yeah. Gosh, thank you. I couldn't remember the word. So, but, and I always, I say, have some kind of a plan, because if you become in a crisis, our decision-making skills are very poor. So let's put some kind of a plan in place to help work through the crisis. So extended care facts, and I found this very interesting. There are 53 million caregivers out there. That's a lot of caregivers. Most of our seniors nowadays get their care at home. It's not like the old days. I'm talking, 40, 50 years ago, you got sick, you couldn't do something, you went straight to the nursing home. It's not like that any longer. We're trying to stay home longer and longer and longer. And 75% of those seniors start at home and transition into an assisted living, independent living situations, and those can vary. Only 5% end up in the nursing home, and it's usually for end-of-life care. So I thought that was pretty.
Yeah.
So we want to keep you home as long as possible. We want to keep your clients home as long as possible. So how to present it? I've always been taught you talk about the consequence and not the risk. So, tell me who's important to you. What responsibilities do you have? How are you going to keep those responsibilities if care was ever necessary? What would happen to those who would have to provide for you both emotionally and physically? So just it gets them thinking. You're not talking price, you're talking the consequence. Some of the advantages of short-term care, the underwriting is easy. Most of them, you have knockout questions, and if you can get through those knockout questions, you're good. Some have three questions, some have 15. Most are indemnity style policies. You don't have to coordinate benefits. So you have the ability to stack policies if you want to build a longer term for yourself. Most don't have a bill chart, no cognitive interview, may have a phone interview. It depends on the carrier. I know Recovery Care, as an example, does not, and they don't have a bill chart. Some may pull medical records. Almost all pull a prescription drug report, and the ages are starting out at 18 all the way up to 89. And these are some of the carriers that we have. Aetna Recovery Care. What I like about this is you can actually put HI within the Aetna Recovery Care. So you've covered both houses there. And we have Cigna Choice, Wellbe Essential Care, and GTL, to name a few. Cancer, heart attack, and stroke. So I think we all have experienced someone who's had one of these, if not all three of these, at some point in your lives. It's kind of hard to get past that, I think. Don't you think, Darren?
Almost definitely. Yeah. What do they say? 1 in 3 women is going to be experience cancer in their life, and 1 in 2 men.
Wow.
That's
That's shocking to me. So, and we're going to start with cancer, but cancer is the second most common cause of death in both men and women, unfortunately. 88% of all cancer is diagnosed in people 50 and older. And I worry about it every day. I worry about everything every day, though. So that's nothing new with me.
Kind of the
I'm just
side
a
effect
worrier.
of being in the field. Yeah.
A new cancer diagnosis every 16 seconds in the United States. 39% of women and 41% of men will be diagnosed during their lifetime. Those are pretty high statistics. Heart attacks. Heart attacks are the #1 cause of death in both men and women. And I tell a story of a friend of mine. I want to say she was 53 or 54 years old, literally just dropped in her kitchen. If her son wasn't there, she would have been gone. Picture of health. And she had what they call a widowmaker, but they saved her. But it is responsible for 1 out of 5 deaths. One of the most expensive conditions to treat in the hospital. First heart attack for men is 65 and a half years old, or for women is 65 and a half. I'm backing up again, 65 and a half for men, 72 for women. And then strokes, and strokes can go from, a mild stroke to a severe, a massive stroke where you're in a wheelchair. Strokes is the 3rd leading cause of death in women and 5th in men. Every 40 seconds, someone is having a stroke in the United States, and recovery can be a lifelong process. However, the survival rates of all 3 illnesses are increasing, but with a cost. So cancer treatments will increase by 34% by 2030. And I got to thinking about that the other day. That's only 5 years away, Darren.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just thinking, that's way off there.
Yeah.
No, that's 5 years away. Heart attack patients pay an average of $21,500 per hospital stay. And stroke patients pay an average of let's say $60,000 per year. Again, you can have very mild stroke to a very severe stroke. And these are just some of the carriers that we offer in this room. We have the Aetna, Cigna, GTL, Mutual Omaha, and Wellaby. If we go back and we look at going back to the hospital indemnity, most of hospital indemnities have a way to add a small cancer rider, some as little as $5,000, some as high as what? $50,000.
No.
So you don't necessarily have to buy 2 separate policies.
And the look back on a hospital indemnity cancer for underwriting is only 2 years, where a standalone cancer is about 5.
Right.
We have a story with a cancer policy for one of our agents. Picture of health, walked, was very, very healthy, got stage 4 lung cancer out of the middle of nowhere. And he had bought a cancer policy about 2 years before that. And he, within 2 weeks of sending in his diagnosis claim, he got his $100,000. 2 weeks later, he got the return of premium, and it saved his business. He didn't have to work that AEP, which saved him from, the bills, the travel to go to the Mayo Clinic. It literally saved his business and his house.
And I go back to, we all know there's a risk, but let's look at the consequence. You could look at the consequence of hospital indemnity, short-term care, the cancer policies and all that. The consequence, what's the consequence, not the risk?
Yeah. So when we were in the field, this is something that we used. This is a way to bring up a difficult conversation just by telling people what you do. So here we see the 3 parts of the graph: life, health, and wealth. So, when you look at the health side, you're talking about Medicare, supplements, Medicare Advantage, drug plans, hospital indemnity, cancer policies, dental. I sold a lot of dental just by showing this at the beginning of my presentation. They'll be like, Medicare doesn't cover dental. I need a policy. So before we even started the presentation, I had a dental sale in my pocket. That was awesome. Then you move to the other side with life, with, term, whole life, universal life, all those things over there. And then, you found a lot of money to invest in fixed indexed annuities just by bringing it up. Hey, you may not be realized that I also work in the fixed indexed annuity side. Do you have any 401ks that need to be rolled over? Anything along those lines. So, legacy policy for your grandkids. So just by showing this slide and having it with you, just to tell them what you do, they may not realize that you can sell travel insurance. They're like, well, I travel over the seas all the time and I always wondered about it. Well, you can refer to our travel department and get a 15% commission, and they're protected when they go overseas. So, just a nice way of bringing up difficult topics, or you don't want to be a braggart about yourself, but you can just say, here's what I do.
And you know what's great about senior market sales?
I think we cover all of those, don't we?
Every one of those. So, where Darren and I work more on the Medicare side, we have our people on the other sides as well too. So we're full service.
And don't be shy. If you do not know how to sell an annuity, reach out to that department. They'll take you from nuts to bolts with it. They'll take you from the illustrations to the certifications to getting the policy issued. So that's a huge step. There's many people on that side of the company that are willing and ready to help you. So if you don't know anything about those products, don't hesitate to ask, because they can help you. And it's an extra commission, that's an extra policy. So you're stopping the next agent from getting into your house and your clients.
So, and with that, are there any questions? And so let's see if I can find the question box. Whoops. Here.
Yep.
We have a couple questions here. So, is the cost chart including the premium payments?
Yes, it was. When I was doing the breakdown of the hospital indemnity with the costs and the payouts. Yeah.
Is the hospital indemnity too expensive? Maybe, I don't think so. I think you can really build that all the way down. I mean, especially for your ACA market, you can build that policy down to $10, $15 a month.
Yeah, and it's like we said, it's very customizable. So if they have a target area, maybe instead of 20,000 in cancer coverage, they go down to 5,000. If their out of pocket max or their daily allotment for the hospital is $450 a day for 6 days, maybe only cover 400 of it. It's very customizable, and you can adjust the figures. Get the things that have to be covered. Ambulance probably has to be covered. Cancer policy, not necessarily. So get the needs to cover first, and then do the nice to haves.
So, and then I have a question. Do you agree that hospital indemnity would work well for my 61-year-old wife who just retired and she gets to take her health coverage with her?
Depends on what that policy looks like. If you're not paying anything out of pocket except for the premium, it may not be as beneficial. But like, we have high deductible plans here at the work, and hospital indemnity works great with that. So I would say take a look at it and see, what coverage are you paying for? Do you have out of pockets? Do you have copays? Is there a deductible you have to meet? I would say it would depend, situational, from one to another. So,
and that's all the questions we have. Feel free to reach out to your favorite marketer or Darren or myself, and we'd be more than happy to help you.
Yeah. A lot of great people at SMS. Don't hesitate to reach out to other departments. I don't think there's anybody that works at SMS that I wouldn't trust to handle my parents. So I think that's the biggest compliment I can pay them.
So with that being said, everybody have a wonderful day. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.